The Zanari had conquered 47 star systems without firing a single shot. Their method was elegant, refined, and utterly predictable. They arrived, demonstrated their technological superiority, accepted the inevitable surrender, and added another species to their vast collective. It had worked for 3,000 years. Then they met humanity. Commander Kiara Chen stood in the wreckage of what had been the crew lounge aboard the UHNS Defiance, staring at the sparking remains of the coffee maker. Her right eye twitched. Around her, various pieces of alien technology lay scattered across the floor, still smoking from the electromagnetic pulse the Zanari had used to disable the ship's weapons. "They broke the coffee machine," she said, her voice unnaturally calm. Beside her, Lieutenant William Cross looked up from his tablet where he'd been cataloging the damage. "Ma'am, they've disabled our weapons, shields, and main engines. They're demanding our surrender within the hour. The coffee machine," Kiara interrupted, still staring at the destroyed appliance, "was a vintage 2247 Italian espresso maker. My grandmother brought it on the first colony ship to Kepler 442b. It survived the atmospheric storms of New Venice, the siege of the outer colonies, and my ex-husband's cooking. It has been brewing perfect coffee for 137 years. William swallowed hard. He'd served under Commander Chen for 3 years, and had learned to recognize that particular tone. "Permission to speak freely, ma'am?" "Granted. They really shouldn't have done that." The Zanari flagship, the Eternal Ascendant, hung in space like a monument to their superiority. Supreme Coordinator Vexthor stood on the bridge, multiple appendages folded in satisfaction. The human vessel was disabled. Their surrender was imminent. Everything was proceeding according to protocol. "Supreme Coordinator," his second announced, "the humans are hailing us." "Excellent. Put them through. Let us receive their capitulation with the dignity it deserves." The screen flickered to life, showing a human female in a military uniform. Her expression was eerily pleasant, like the calm before a supernova. "I am Commander Kiara Chen of the United Human Navy ship Defiance," she said. "You have committed an act of war against humanity." Vexthor's translator struggled with the emotional undertones in her voice. "We have simply demonstrated our supremacy, as is our way. Your resistance is futile. Surrender, and you will be incorporated into our collective with minimal disruption to your... You broke our coffee machine." Silence filled the bridge of the Eternal Ascendant. Vexthor's sensory stalks twitched in confusion. What?" "Our coffee machine." Each word dropped like a hammer. "You have 30 minutes to send replacement parts or we're coming over there." The communication ended abruptly. Vexthor turned to his tactical officer. "Scan their ship. Surely they cannot pose a threat in their current state." "Sir, our scans show their main systems are offline. However..." The officer hesitated. "They appear to be cannibalizing their escape pods and life support systems." "For what purpose?" "Unknown, sir." 28 minutes later, Vexthor understood. The human ship, supposedly crippled, suddenly erupted with activity. Jury-rigged weapons, constructed from spare parts and what appeared to be plumbing fixtures, emerged from improvised ports. The humans had turned their entire vessel into a kinetic projectile, using their auxiliary thrusters in ways that violated at least 15 laws of physics. "They're on a collision course," the tactical officer shrieked. "Impact in 40 seconds. Evasive maneuvers." "Sir, they've launched something." "Multiple somethings." On the screen, Vexthor watched in horror as armored human figures flew through space, propelled by nothing but repurposed fire extinguishers and what his translator insisted on calling sheer audacity. They were using cutting torches as weapons, emergency oxygen tanks as explosives, and... was that a wrench? The first human crashed through the Eternal Ascendant's hull, using a mining laser powered by a portable generator. More followed, the bridge filled with alarms. "Hull breaches on decks 4 through 17. Intruders in engineering. They're... Supreme Coordinator, they're heading for the command deck." The door to the bridge exploded inward. Commander Chen stepped through, still wearing her pleasant smile, a makeshift plasma cutter in one hand. Lieutenant Cross followed, wielding what appeared to be a reinforced metal pipe. "Where," Kiara asked sweetly, "is your replicator technology?" Vexthor's translator was now adding footnotes about terrifying and unprecedented aggression over caffeinated beverages. He raised his appendages in surrender. "Level 7, Section Gamma. Please, we didn't understand the cultural significance. Oh, you're about to, William muttered. 3 hours later, the Zanari flagship hung in space, its crew huddled in their quarters, traumatized. The humans had taken their replicator technology, fixed their coffee machine, and somehow improved it to make even better espresso. They'd also helped themselves to the Zanari database, 3 crates of their most advanced power cells and all the chocolate from the commissary. Commander Chen sat in the repaired crew lounge, savoring her first cup of properly brewed coffee in 3 days. Around her, the crew celebrated their improbable victory. William approached carrying a data pad. "Ma'am, the Zanari are requesting permission to," and I quote, "leave and never return to this cursed sector of space." Chiara took another sip of her coffee. Perfect temperature, perfect crema. Permission granted. But first have them broadcast a message to all their member species. "What message, ma'am?" She smiled, a real smile this time. "Tell them the first ones learned something today. Humanity has one rule: never interrupt our coffee. And if you break the machine..." She gestured at the sparking debris still floating outside the viewport, the remains of the Zanari's weapons systems, destroyed during the humans' counterattack. "We'll break everything else." As the Zanari fled into deep space, their database was already updating. A new entry appeared under species classifications. Humans, status uncontactable. Threat level maximum. Special note, do not touch their coffee. The legend spread across the galaxy within weeks. The species that had conquered 47 systems without firing a shot had been routed by a crew of caffeinated humans with improvised weapons and an attitude problem. And somewhere in the crew lounge of the UHNS Defiance, a vintage 2247 Italian espresso maker continued brewing perfect coffee, just as it had for 137 years, and would for 137 more. Because some things in the universe were sacred, and humanity's coffee was one of them.